Hello and welcome to What Are You Saying? #Ways, where we talk about topics in the news as it affects us all. I am Musayome Saleh, and today I am joined by Uti. I was going to pronounce your full name, but I don't want to bite my tongue.
Uti Orishe Warami. Thank you very
Jesus.
All 19 letters.
All looking pretty. I love everything. What happened? You came back with a banger.
Well, I find if it was just supposed to be like a casual thing, I think I must have tried on like 4 different outfits. I was like, I can't even bother today. I just want to be comfortable. I want to wear my trainers.
Yes, sir.
Just go. So yes, this is it.
And we got the memo. It's a jean day.
It's a denim kind of day.
It's a denim day. Yes, so I just looked and said, I actually went and I charted different kinds of denim. The ripped, the normal, the abnormal, everything.
You're lucky. So you know the thing with me is that buying jeans,
trust me, she has extra long.
Yeah. I don't want to know actually. No.
Because you're going to see it, but if I tell you how much I spent.
I actually really don't want to know. Thank you.
She has extra long. In fact, there was one that was too long. It was longer than I say. Hey.
No,
she came prepared though. Trust me.
She came to you. I don't even like those kind of vendors.
No, I went to her.
You
actually.
Went to her.
But so, I went to her. I was supposed to just go and say hello. Now, so she carried me upstairs. Say, "Oh, come, I think you might like
something."
I thought
that's really how it goes. No, I know we women, you just pick one. Let me just try on this one. Let me try on. And the thing is, I try not to try things on because I don't window shop.
Yeah.
When I see things
and I like it,
I want to buy it.
Yeah.
If I see something and that's why I don't go to the shops. Like I don't try things on. I don't look at things when I'm extremely conscious effort this weekend to unplug. So I ran errands the whole of Saturday. In fact, I was on the road for most of Saturday. So Sunday I just shut down. I just told myself, you know what? I'm not checking my laptop. I'm not checking emails. Nothing. For the day, I actually just vegged out and watched movies. So I came into the week feeling a little like rested. Of course, Monday wife started away real quick. But it's not been bad actually. It's been pretty good this week.
We're supposed to have Elsie join us, but she'll join us later. But today we're discussing how do we demand good governance from our broad consensus in society. And that's the voice. But first, we'll take a break to see what we found in the news.
What we do not understand, we will stigmatize.
What you can see is the remaining of the tanker that exploded.
The suspect equally confessed.
You're still watching Ways. Now, this day was created to encourage mindfulness and faith in human rights in order to encourage equality and diversity across the world. The UN introduced the International Day for Tolerance in 1996. It followed the United Nations Year of Tolerance, which was 1995, in order to observe its teaching annually. There's no doubt that a world free of tolerance would not be a good place to be. It is the belief of those supporting this day that such a world should never exist and that everyone has a right to their expression, religion, and their conscience without fear of bias or ridicule. In addition, it teaches that a person's racial or religious background is inconsequential to the potential for tolerance and friendship between them. The United Nations defines tolerance as respect, appreciation, and acceptance of the diversity of the world's cultures and all the ways that we are human. So happy International Tolerance Day.
Absolutely.
How tolerating are we? If I wanted to put that topic today, but I say, the wallah is plenty. Do you think we actually tolerate each other as the people?
That's a tough question. I think it's becoming harder for people to tolerate each other, particularly in Nigeria. I think that our tribal lines and tribal bias does come out. But, I mean, in general, we can be an angry people. You know, we can be a small thing, they start fights. But I think tolerance is something that we all need to make a conscious effort. I saw a quote the other day that said, there's a power that lies between the stimulus and the reaction. So you can't control the stimulus. And where your true power lies is in that space between when something happens and how you react. So tolerance needs to be part of that power, where we need to think about how we are interacting with our fellow man. Sometimes it's difficult to be able to, we all talk about walking in someone's shoes, talk about empathy, but sometimes it's difficult for us to do that. You know, you have a knee-jerk or an automatic reaction before you find yourself, I mean, I do anyway, playing the situation back and going,
Elsie Godwin.
welcome Elsie
This
to
is
the
nice.
show.
Thank you for welcoming me after I welcomed myself. Happy
So
Tolerance Day.
what do you think about that word tolerance, though?
I didn't know that was what today was, you know. But when you talk of beliefs in Nigeria, I think we cross that line as regards beliefs and what we think how we think people should live their life when we just want to think that our way is the right way or the highway. Like it is your Jesus. If you don't have that Jesus, there's no heaven, right? While there are thousands of other religions in the world, we just have the idea that if it is not Christianity, you are not living right. If it's not Muslim, you're not reading right. But taking it away and now bringing it back to the personal side, I mean, I think we all have tolerance. If we don't, we probably won't be able to coexist. There are times where you just think back, like she said, and ask yourself if that would be the best way to handle it, or if you handled it the best way possible. It's difficult, but we have it one way or the other.
Yeah, I think we need more of it, though. We might have it, but it's not the measure to which it can make a huge difference in how we are living as a human or human race or whatever. We can do a lot more.
That impact it. So, you know, when you're hungry, tolerance can happen.
It can fly. It can fly off the roof. Okay, so who are we starting with? Let me start with Elsie Godwin. What did you find for us in the news today?
What did I find, though? They have evicted your PDP.
I was going to hear Big Brother.
Okay, the news reports that a Lagos State Magistrate Court has ordered the eviction of People's Democratic Party from its Lagos Secretariat on Adekunle Fajiri Way, Ikeja, over unpaid rents.
Ooh.
Following an unresolved dispute over the rent debt, the siblings instituted the action, that's the siblings of the owners of the property, against the registered trustees of the People's Democratic Party, Lagos State, and one other. They approached the court and, I mean, they won. So, I mean, I'm taking this story not because I really care about where they are situated or where their office is, but because, you know how they say charity begins at home, right? And if PDP cannot sort their rental issues, how exactly do you want to entrust a state or even a local government or a nation into their hands?
See?
That was what came to mind when I saw the story, because it's shameful. Personally, as for me, I know people run into money problems, right? But I'm that kind of person that I believe that if you're living somewhere, especially if it's a rented apartment, you plan ahead. Like I'm of the school of thought that you don't start thinking of your rent in the month your rent is due, right? You save up for it, even if you have to put out, say you're dividing your yearly rent by 12 and put out that thing from your salary or your earnings every month. So that's my thinking. And that's sort of maybe it's wrong, but that's the standard I hold a lot of people to, especially when I know you earn that kind of money, right? So if I hold myself to that standard and people that are supposed to be leaders,
Elsie, did you see me the way I'm looking at you?
I'm cuckoo talking. Maybe you are now.
Do you realize that the people that do not pay taxes, the people that do not pay rent, the people that do not pay all these amenities, utility bills, power, electricity are your people in government? Do you realize that? Most of them do not pay those bills.
Okay, so I
multiple angles and ways in which it could go.
No, really, there's a dispute and the court have said they should leave the case. See, at least the judge knows better than I do, regardless of what the case is. So leave their property. Thank you.
Otielu, moving on.
Elsie came on the warpath today. Okay, so my story is a bit of a what I call it. It's a sad one because Lagos State is faced with another disaster. And sadly, 5 people have been killed. So my headline reads, 5 killed as gas explosion rocks Ladipo in Lagos State. So sadly, 3 men, a 10-year-old boy and a woman have lost their lives. If you know anything about Ladipo, it's the car parts, spare parts market. It's a very densely populated area.
It is.
And from the story says that it was gas cylinders, basically, I believe, that were in a shop somewhere on the Jekunle Street for welding. And this true, what's the word now? The true cause of the explosion has yet to be identified, at least in this story, but they have confirmed that the lives were lost. The fire was quickly, I mean, I must hand it to Lagos State. Lasema has been working hard and they seem to are able to respond to these cases quite well. So between Lasema and NEMA, I think the police disaster management unit, able to get the whole situation under control. But again, we come back to these issues where lives are lost almost needlessly because, when you think about it, this is supposed to be a residential area that has been culled and turned into, it's like the market evolved around the area and mechanics and all of that have taken over that.
What then
place.
happens, Uti, if, for instance, I mean, people that are living outskirts, like remember the gas explosion that happened on CMD Road in Magodo? So that particular location, Magodo used to be like the outskirts, just like what Chevron used to be the end of Lekki. Now there's of civilization and everything. So do you expect the companies that have spent years building to relocate, to move? Because when I hear this argument of residential areas and, it's a different ballgame entirely. If the company was not existing, that what's it called? Maybe it's a residential area and they want to now situate a fuel station, which some people have already started taking some companies to court.
There is one in my area.
Yeah, so it's a different situation. But this company, were they there before?
Can I respond?
So there's a role. Okay. I was just going to say that there's a role to play for town planning, right? That's why we have the bodies or the agencies that are supposed to manage these things. So as soon as an area opens up in that you start selling land, I'm not even talking about building. There should be, and that's the proper practice. That's best practice. It's designated for residential. It's designated.
So
it's not
no
to say
commercial
exactly.
at all.
You can't. It's not even say you can't have commercial, but there are certain types of activities.
Yeah.
You can't just come and build a petrol station in the middle of residences. Yeah. You can't just come and have, I mean, I've been to that, I used to hear about Ladipo, and then I thought it was some sort of Tejiosho type, market where and then I went there and I was like,
became the governor and he built that beggar. No,
okay,
the welcome thing,
okay, yeah.
And people were raving. That was when I kind of got the information that is how it was supposed to be from the beginning. He just basically went back to the blueprint and did what was supposed to be done. So there is a plan for Lagos State implementation.
So whether they are following through,
they
is
are
the
not.
issue.
Okay, so if they are following through, we won't have a building collapsing when it's supposed to be 15-story building and it becomes 20-something. So it starts from there. There are things like that. I just mentioned. Just when you drive past where we drive, when we came to, you saw the filling station. And I don't know why you are there. This is a house. This is a house. and there's a petrol station there.
That's sad.
In fact, that place is about to become a major road. But anyway, that's a different conversation for
another
day.
day. Maybe we should bring a town planner to come and talk about it.
Exactly.
But I actually saw a feel-good story I thought was worthy to mention. Remember we celebrated Flutterwave becoming a unicorn. So this company, I think it's called Team App. It's become Nigeria's latest unicorn valued at $1 billion.
Are you serious?
Yeah. So Nigerian startup tech company. They've raised their third rounding of funding that value more than 1 billion naira, which will result in the banking software firm joining a spate of Africa tech companies to become so-called unicorns.
Really?
That's according to Bloomberg's report.
Remember Didi?
Yeah.
She's the head of marketing that was here.
Wow, for this company? Oh, wow.
Was it last week or last 2 weeks?
Wow.
That was why I said Team Apt.
Yeah, so we should congratulate them. So this was a report I saw on Business Day, and I thought to mention, I wanted to do a feel-good conversation
That's
story.
nice.
So, because since we celebrated Flutterwave, I mean, it's always good to also celebrate this, because fintech is the future.
Yeah, I was just going to say that it just shows sometimes when you see these companies and you see banks with so many solutions, I always say, why do we have so many? Why do we need so many? I mean, even when eNaira started, I was thinking another thing again. But when you hear this and you see this happening, you realize the size of the payment market, not just in Nigeria and Africa, because this round for them is to expand into other places in Africa that don't have capacity. It's huge, so I'm looking forward to more unicorns in the space. Please, if anybody knows any, I can come and put my 10 naira now, so that when they become $1 billion,
Talk to me behind the
Yeah, I should talk to you. If I was going to say Elsie, maybe we need to bring Didi back, or I see you. let us know how we can invest.
Talk to me behind the scenes.
Stability strategies and tools help empower ordinary citizens to exercise their inherent rights to hold government accountable for the use of public funds and how they exercise authority. In this first part conversation, and as we continue to reevaluate citizens' role in engaging our leaders, we are asking, how best can we as young people engage our leaders as we demand better governance, keeping the End SARS protests as a basis for this conversation? I mean, we just heard everyone saw the ruling and the results that came out from the panel. I mean, there's nobody that is in Lagos or Nigeria today or all over the world that has not seen that report. So let's have that at the back of our mind and, think of ways to demand better governance. So please let us hear what you have to say. Remember, you can join the conversation. Send us an SMS or WhatsApp to 081-803-84663. So we're going to open our phone line shortly. But I was just going to say, Uti and Elsie. So it's so interesting. First of all, I kept on wrapping my head around how do we have this conversation without, going back to like repetitive, coming back to say everything we've said and rewind and rewind and rewind. Protest was one. And I mean, when everybody saw that report that the judicial panel released to the government, everybody said, okay, at least it means that whatever it was that happened in October last year was worth that fight, because somehow it seems like justice would truly prevail in that case. But it got me thinking, did anyone needed to lose their lives? Was the protest the only way we would have been able to find a solution to demanding, because everything around End SARS protest was demanding better governance from our leaders? Were there more creative ways we as young people would have engaged the government? So that what informed the conversation for tonight. So who will take the floor? Let me not put anyone on the spot.
Young leader.
Me,
young leader.
I posted it on my story today, and I put this our flyer, and I put the baby picture there. That tired baby sticker, and I say I don't have anything to say, because, like you rightly said, when you were introducing the topic, you said that this is the first part. This cannot be the first part. This is like the 100 part of this conversation, right? But we cannot get tired. We'll keep talking about it. Yeah. I don't even talk the talk they go. But protest, there's something, there's a quote you use where they say blood, sweat, and something. If you want to build a nation,
Yeah,
it has to happen.
there has to
right?
be some bloodshed, and
Unfortunately, and this is me just saying, sending my condolence to those who lost their loved ones or even are living with one form of disability or the other now because of that protest.
Trauma.
Trauma, but there are people who, I saw one who
was amputated. Yeah.
And this is not even a country that is conducive for people who are disabled anyway. So my heart really goes out to everyone who has lost something that if we have to put it on a scale, we can say this is massive and significant. We all lost something, right? But I would not say that the protest wasn't necessary or that there should have been a better way. There probably should be more protests. But we need to begin to engage in a better way, right? I wrote an article yesterday on my blog where I did a funny thing with the belief of our village people, and I created a concept around it as to understanding that our village people is not just about your village people in the village. It could be anybody, because in the real sense of it, the village is somewhere, this place is somebody's village. So a village can be anywhere, right? It's somewhere on my blog. But my point I was really trying to make is to say that if we're going to do things and get results, then we have to do it in a different way. Doing the same thing the same way and expecting results is what they tell you is madness, right? Yeah. So we have to come in groups, and coming in groups, it has to be a case of people who understand what the goal is, understand the right steps to take, understand our rights, where it starts, where it ends, and then begin to take deliberate steps. Nigeria got to this point not in 1 year. Not in 2, not in 5. We watched it. I'm not going to remove myself from this equation. We all watched it degenerate to where it is right now. And if it is going to be better, it's going to be one step at a time. It might be one sector at a time, one state at a time, one local government at a time. Whatever it's going to take, it has to be deliberate, and it has to be people who have the best interest of heart. I was having a very interesting conversation with my friend recently, and we're talking about the kind of leader we should have as a
benevolent dictator. That's what we need.
That is what Fashola sort of brought that vibe a bit to Lagos State. And remember when I talked about how wearing seatbelt in Lagos State now is sort of a culture. It wasn't like that. It wasn't like that. When he passed that law, I think I was in a lot of the conversation where it was like, this man is stressing us. So how are we going to drive and drive well? Why tying ourselves to a rope? Like, there was a lot of conversation around it, and it didn't make sense. But they probably cannot see beyond the next day. Like they cannot see what the person who is setting up a unicorn company is seeing, right? We need people who would also see that fun. Maybe that is where I'm sleeping in an Obasanjo, because the internet you have today, thanks to him, yes, he's not the tech guy, but he was able to
see the value that it was going to
that the proposal would bring, and he got into it. So I just think that we just need to strategize and come back to the table and begin to ask the right questions. What are we supposed to do right? Where does our rights stop?
So are you suggesting dialogue as a way to demand better governance?
It's not dialogue.
Sitting on the table is what?
No. So I'm talking, so if you want a change in, say, a local government, for example, you start asking questions. How do I get the right candidates? If you find the right candidates, how do I position the right candidates to even have a chance to get into that office, right? And then you start mopping up funds and knowing, okay, this is what we are supposed to do. This is how we're supposed to go. This is where our rights end. This is the kind of person that can get into that place, right? And then you start from that point. But look at a case of Soludo, for example, right? I'm not a fan of Soludo for any reason. I mean, congratulations to him. But look at Emogalu. So Soludo started from somewhere, and there are people who would even tell you that there are lower places to start from. And he had what you would say is a shot at the goal, and he got it right now, right? I don't think Emogalu can be the president of Nigeria with the way he's going. But he has amazing ideas, concepts. He is the technocrat that you people say, oh, we need, because we need to get somewhere. But being a technocrat is not where it ends. You have to be able to play the game.
You have to be everything.
You have to be everything. And I don't know where we're going to find that person, because the person is not me anyway. Right? So let me shut up so that
I don't even think it's going to be a technocrat. I think it's somebody that has the good sense to realize and understand the value that technocrats bring to the table, to hire them, to trust their judgment and allow them do their work. So, but, also something that you must familiarize yourself with first to be able to hold someone accountable, you must be able to hold yourself accountable. So a lot of the things that I see when you're out on the roads, you know, you see things happening and you go, clearly this is not a person that can hold themselves accountable. Clearly this is a person tomorrow who, if they find themselves in the same situation as our leaders today, will probably do the same. So when you find yourself, in traffic, I've got to rush, I've got to dash, there are decisions that you make split second that say a lot about who you are. You don't even need the faith of a mustard seed. Right now, money gonna move whatever you need to move in this country.
I'm telling you.
That's the reality of it. So the fact is, we need to be the change, or what's that thing now? Be the change you want to see, right? We need to be Michael Jackson's man in the mirror. We need to really think about everything that we're calling for. What does it look like if you lived it in your life, in your reality? Because they say what? Little drops make an ocean. If we start to make these changes, if we start to hold people accountable, right? It doesn't take the police. It doesn't take all the various, all the various agencies that have been created just to keep order. I know that human nature, there's carrot and stick, there's consequences. But I feel like we all have some sense, maybe not all the same sense of right and wrong, but we all have some sense of right and wrong. And if we start to see how the collective wrongs are harming us as people, leave the leaders, because I mean, Abuja is where Abuja is. You are here in Lagos, you know. So when we weave that tale, I know that people will say, oh, it's hunger that makes them do the wrong thing. It's all of these things. I totally hear you, and in some ways you're right. But if we all keep going down that path, how do you demand something of someone that you maybe are not able to give yourself? That when you find yourself in a situation where you have to make a decision, you make the easier decision. Because these are little things, but seemingly important things. And then you talk about, I mean, when you talk about leadership, you talk about the kind of people, like you said, it's not a short game. Nigeria didn't get here to this point. We didn't degenerate overnight. So this mindset that also change will flourish overnight, it's a very long game. I mean, when I hear, when Soludo won, and I heard all the excitement, I said a little prayer for the man. I said, please, may you not go through the same thing that happened to our current president, not even Peter Obi. Because you remember all the excitement and all the, you know, in 2015, oh my God, Buhari change, APC change. And here we are today. I'm not saying that they've done fantastically, but there's also the place that expectation plays as well.
True.
So when you have such a high expectation, you think this man is going to come and work miracles tomorrow overnight, it's going to turn to the UK or whatever. Happen. There is a process, and I also find that
this one is different. So this one is different because yes, if it's a case of we were how did your uncle speak that where we were and we did not move forward, we did not move backward, we will say okay, our expectations were too much, but we've gone backward.
No, so that's what I'm saying. So now that we know that we've regressed, TV, this child is breaking. When you see all these things happening, you've got to set the child straight. You've got to correct those mistakes before you start trying to teach the child new behaviors and new things. So we also need to think about it that what do we want Nigeria to look like in 5 years, in 10 years, in 15 years? And then what we think about, what do we want our futures of tomorrow to look like? And let's start looking for them now. It's not us, by the way.
No, it's not us.
It's not us.
I was going to even say that.
It's not.
How do you demand... Now, thanks for tuning in. If you just tuned in, it's our Ladies' Night Out, and we are asking, how can we demand good governance from our leaders? I made an example. Ilham Mohammed. Please let us share what you have to say. Remember, you can join the conversation. Send us an SMS or WhatsApp to 081-8038-4663. So we're finding creative ways. Oh, sorry. Our phone line is now open. Call us on 07025007749. The number to call again is 07025007749. Please, when you call, turn off the volume of your television set so we can hear you clearly or we can hear ourselves clearly. All right, so I just, before we went on a break, I asked the question about Lai Mohammed. Because it's so interesting. I saw a video, I'm trying to look for it in the mainstream paper, I've not found it yet, where he said that he never said people were killed at the Lekki toll. So if we want to be creative...
He never said people were killed or were not killed.
No, he has reversed now that he never said people were not killed, at the Lekki toll.
Okay.
So I'm trying to just soak it in, you know. But for someone like that, you already know that these are the weaknesses of these leaders, right? So how can you navigate finding creative ways to demand good governance, despite the fact that they are there. Because, Uti, whether we like it or not, we'll continue to have bad leaders, right? We will continue to have bad leaders. So my coach once said something to me. He said, Uwa, you need to learn the act of going into... Is the volume okay? Everybody. Peter?
Yeah, I can hear you. Good evening.
Hi, good evening, Peter.
Yeah, interesting topic. But it's not possible for us to demand good governance from our leaders in Nigeria today. Because one, Nigeria is built on lies. We don't have a constitution that will protect us. You asked the question, how do we demand truth from our Minister for Information? I can tell even me that is talking, all of you sitting down on that panel, because of the weak institutions that we have, if any of us is doing the right thing, then secondly, let's concentrate on the House of Assembly of all states and the Senate and see how we can get good people that have the interest of this country into that elected place. Because if you have laws and strong institutions, you start making a good country. Have we ever asked ourselves that is it possible for us in the South to see people in the North that would think like us passionately on how we can move this country forward without tribalism and nepotism? Why has any protest in this country has not been successful? We're thinking, Nigeria does not even come first members as your political party. How are you going to give them $1,000?
Trying to raise the right mindset, start to instill those. But you see, sometimes we think that there's one miracle that would happen and maybe this corrupt generation would fizzle out. It won't, right? So for me, I think the best method, this is my thinking, for us to be able to find creative solutions to even amidst this corruption, the sickening state of, impunity and all of that, find something that maybe puts these people in check. Maybe like institutionalize things. Are we signing?
Let's not.
It's like you live in the Western world.
Even in the Western world, petition is not working.
No, but
so hold on. Then you sign the petition, 200 million signatures. Oh yeah, who now enforce it?
Mm-hmm. It will be enforced
by whom?
How did they pass this not too young to run bill?
Thank you for asking that question. There was a process. Mm-hmm. In fact, all of us are shouting not too young to run. If you know the work that went into that, from drafting the bill first and foremost, to ensuring that the people in the government or the House and then the presidency align with the bill, and also massaging their ego to a point. Because I remember the conversation where we were having, where they were saying you cannot keep making them feel like they are the bad ones. You have to apply emotional intelligence at that point, and also rub their ego, and then begin to have the conversation in a way that they see it as them doing also the country a favor.
Okay.
And then you get it. So it is not that we just woke up and we had the not too young to run bill, and then we've had a conversation about the startup bill, right? We can see the progress on how long they are still on it. This is after that our first conversation. I think this is 6th month now, and they're still on it. It has not been passed. That's how they can go that way for 2 years. But I like what Uti said about accountability, and I think have it. Yes, some of them needs to be amended. Of course, get to the global standard and what is acceptable for now. But even with what we have laws. The problem is implementation. And he also mentioned something about if you can see people from the north that are passionate about Nigeria. Honestly, I have seen them. There are. The fact that we have people that are at the forefront and their voice is the loudest, and we think that maybe Northerners are complete against the idea of Nigeria, that is not the case across board, but I get where he's coming from. So accountability really has to start from us as a people, individual. What are we doing? How are we responding to the situation? What more can be done? If you can hold yourself accountable, you're talking about Lai Mohammed. I don't want to use words that are not right, but when you look at the things that he has done for some time, it's sort of things that people would define and tell you this person is just a pathological liar. There's nothing you can do about it.
Hi.
So I've learned that Nigeria can never be one. How do you,
Thank you so much. The line is a bit muffled, so we can't hear you clearly, but we might need to cut you off. But I think I got a sense of what he's trying to say, that Nigeria cannot be one, that maybe we should split Nigeria, so we have Western Nigeria, Eastern Nigeria, Northern Nigeria. Is that the solution?
So I've heard many angles to this narrative. I remember speaking to someone once who talked about Europe and how, you know, countries in Europe like, you know, Czechoslovakia split into Czech Republic, you know, and all of that, you know, really tribal lines, it just has to split, it can't work. And somehow I keep
Sudan too.
Yeah,
like
so I mean there's so many, you know, issues. Examples, thank you. But in my mind, I keep going back to I was born into this country now. At some point, you lived in the north. You grew up in the north. At some point, I remember as a child, come Christmas, you're going to carry chicken and rice everywhere. Come salad, ram, going to come to you. It is possible. I think the fact that we are no longer seeking unity. What we are seeking is telling ourselves that the solution that works is for everybody to go their own way. Now, we have different cultures, we have different values, we have different norms. But does it truly mean, I may be naive in my beliefs, but I don't think that we are so different that we can't find a way to live together. That's strength we have in our diversity.
Ken from Lagos, I believe. Thank you for calling.
Hi, a very good evening to you, ladies.
Hi, Ken. Thank you for calling.
Thank you for having me. Beautiful ladies, I must say. Beautiful line of thoughts. And I really appreciate what you're doing. It's my first time on the program.
Wow, you're welcome.
And I enjoy your line of conversation. For me, I really want to look at it from this angle. The reason why people don't beat speed cameras in United Kingdom and other parts of the world, the reason why you have to pay your bills at the end of every month, the reason why, you know, you have a fine, a parking ticket, and you get to pay, is because there are institutions that people are not above. So I think one basic thing we really need to start doing is putting our institutions right in Nigeria, where it doesn't matter if you are the son of a senator, son of a governor, you must abide by the rules. It doesn't matter if you're the governor of Lagos State, your plate number, once it runs through a traffic light, they don't care. You definitely would have to face the fine. Absolutely. So if we get these institutions right in our country, it will go a long way. And I know we're looking at Lai Mohammed, and it's the same institutions, the same institution we're talking about brought all of them from the mud to where they are. But if we get the institutions right and everybody is afraid of the law, and in getting the institutions right, first thing we need to do, you see, the executive and the legislative, they're just there. But you see that judicial aspect of the arm of government needs to be upheld to a standard where if you go to court today, you get an hearing in less than 48 hours.
Thank you.
If you ought to pay a fine, you pay that fine. If you're not paying fine, if you have to go to jail, you go to jail. Even if it's going to be for 2 weeks or 1 month, but at least
It will be on record.
people will start understanding. It doesn't matter whether you're from the east, from the west, from the north, from the south. There's something that we believe in Nigeria, that you do the right thing and everybody will be fine.
Thank you so much, Ken.
Carry that same thing into the political system, the education, and the business people, the market. Nigeria will be a beautiful place for each and every one of us.
Thank you, Ken.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So while he was talking, when he started talking about institution, I was asking in my head, like, so who is going to set up the institution? But then I asked myself again, it is really possible for those institutions to start working. And the example that came to mind, please forgive me for using the same person, because now the example one I know I could use. In rents in Nigeria, in Lagos State rather, before now, this is say 8 years ago, you don't pay 1 year.
Yeah, landlords would demand 3 years, 2 years.
4.
Yeah.
Some people will tell you 5 years.
Yes.
The minimum you get is 2 years, and you are so happy that, this man pity me. how did we get to being able to pay 1 year rent, and that's basically almost your right now? If you're demanding for more than 1 year, then actually, people are wondering what is your problem, right? We've even gotten to the point where fintechs, there are tech platforms that have keyed into that. You can now pay monthly for your rent, right? Just pick and go. Like, what do you need? You get into a house, you stay there, you pay monthly, and you move, right? And that was only because somebody like Babatunde Raji Fashola again was able to put in that institution to say, come rain, come sunshine, you are taking one year. Yes, the aim was to say it's going to be monthly, but he realized that that was going to be a stretch because of the kind of economy we have and all that, right? But it was done, and it's still doable. So again, I say forgive me for always using him, but what I'm saying is it is possible, and we need people that would be, what do you call them? People that would just stomp on us and tell us this is the right thing. And it is not just because
benevolent dictator.
It is not just because they want to gain something. It is because they are seeing something that the majority is not seeing.
Uti, I'll come to you. Let me take a call. I can't pronounce your name. I'm sorry. Thank you for calling. Let's hear what you have to say. I think it's your first time caller. Hi, are you there? You're live. We said turn up the volume of your television set.
I'm calling in to discuss about, I'm live. Okay, I'm calling in to discuss about the topic good governance. And also to, first of all, I want to speak on the Lekki Gate incident and all that. With one of the panel members said a petition should be signed by now. Even if we sign a petition now, Lai Mohammed will not resign. He will not resign. If Nigeria was a proper country by now, ever since, Lai Mohammed would have resigned. But let's just that one for the side. Okay, talking about good governance. The day the electorate know the power they have, things will start changing in Nigeria. An average electorate in Nigeria do not know that their representative can be recalled from wherever house, state house, federal house, senate, and they don't believe on voting. So sometimes, anytime I get to discuss things with my younger ones, their friends, they say, oh, they are not voting, it's a waste of time. I tell them, no. Your vote counts.
Absolutely.
By the time you stay back, you continue to stay back and say, my vote will not count. We keep on electing irresponsible people.
Thank you so much.
So by the time the electors know that they have the power in their hands, things will start changing.
Absolutely.
And we'll start having good governance. Thank you.
Aka Owo. I think that's it. Aqua Owo. Aqua Owo. Oti. I like what he's saying. Honestly, we have a lot of power that we do not understand the power that we wield. When it comes to some of these things. I mean, I'm trying to be in a team for someone that is trying to run for House of Representatives. And the only thing I'm already warning that, I hope you know that I will be part of the people that will drag you down if you win and you do not do what you promised. So what's your goal for this seat, right? For instance. But I think I have a call. Thank you for calling. Just Hohis, thank you for calling. Then I'll come to you, Uti. Are you there? You're live.
Hello, good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Go ahead.
We are talking about demanding good governance in Nigeria. Let me use my state, Edo State. A governor runs a state without a state house of assembly. A governor is running a state without local government chairman. And that governor is still being supported by some indigenes in this state. So how do you not demand equity and responsibility from a governor that people are supporting is drawing a government with just 7 House of Assembly members? We are in a deep problem in this country because we keep on rationalizing the bad behavior from the people that is ruling us.
Thank you, Ohis.
Ohis is gone?
I think he's gone.
Is it the same governor?
Yes, Obaseki.
Oh, okay.
Uti.
So, I mean, what Ohis was saying for me just speaks to, and even the caller before him. Remember after NSAS happened, there was all these people that sprung up. People need to understand the constitution. People need to understand politics. They need to understand governance. Knowledge is power. If you don't know what your rights are, if you don't know what you can and cannot do, then you're coming from a place of ignorance. And that's what I hear, because it's so easy when we talk about stomach infrastructure. People are hungry. It's so easy for you to take a bag of rice or take 1,000 naira and look the other way, because you can't see beyond your immediate need. And this is where, when you talk about the examples that that Elsie mentioned, this is a governor or a government that looked and said, look, what are the issues and problems of our people? And how do we start to pick? You know, because sometimes I feel like if you look at the grand scheme of problems in Nigeria, I'm not even sure I want to be president, because I'm not sure I know which to tackle first. Because the problems are numerous.
So let me address something you just said, Uti. A good place to start would be getting more and more people out of poverty.
But there are many ways to even do that, right? So the point for me there is, when you start to look at the magnitude of what we need to turn the ship around, which is why I said, when you're at minus 100, your goal is not to get to plus 100. Your goal is first to get back to zero.
Yeah.
So in truth, when you talk about those changes, look at what happened in NAFDAC. There was a time when you buy drugs, you're not sure what you're taking, people are dying.
Sure.
Even common Panadol, people were dying. So it is not impossible, because I know that when we look at our reality, we say, God, Nigeria's problem.
Where do we start?
Where do we start?
It's not impossible.
But it's not impossible, which is why I come back to accountability. The leaders who went into these organizations, they had a plan, they had a roadmap. Then you come and you've made House of Rep, where settle me. And that's what we have today. So when we start to, you know, we can make it as complicated as we want, and we can make it as simple as we can, not as we want. Because we start to take it in little buckets and say, look, in every, even the governors, what can you do to make a real difference in your people's lives? That doesn't take, you know, 20 years, 100 years. You
know, I mean, when she mentioned Fashola, but let's check for messages. When she mentioned Fashola, I remember that even currently now, the housing scheme that he did, I had a stakeholders meeting on Saturday. The new governor has gone back to his model. His model was to get you and I, taxpayers that don't have hope of owning homes, to own houses, right? So in fact, the system alone, it will weed off anybody that, you know, all those civil servants before that will just go buy all the properties and start to sell at expensive, ridiculous prices. That structure that he put in place, it completely sieves those people out. So once your name is in the system that you've ever bought any property in Lagos, you are not qualified. So look at the housing estate I own in Ogba. One of the houses I own, every single occupant of that house are normal 9-to-5ers like you and I. Now imagine if we multiply that, get more people out of that poverty line, get more people out of, you know, too many burden. You see, let me tell you something. When people are economically empowered, right, they can know what is good and what is bad, and they can know how to demand. I mean, see what the governor-elect of Anambra did for the lady that rejected 5,000 naira in Anambra State. So if she did not understand the implication of that 5,000 naira, would she have rejected it? So I think maybe if I don't know, let's take comments. We've run out of time.
But okay. So will you go first, or?
Good evening, ladies. To have a good governance, we as the citizens have a role to play in our own space. We should do the right thing. Our orientation has to change, as most Nigerians once in power drop all the good things they know. Some activists once elected do same things they criticize that made people vote them in. We need to establish good values. Good governance is possible, but we all need to work towards that. That's from BC. Thank you, BC.
Okay, so quickly, mine is from Benson. Says, good evening, ladies. You can only demand for accountability if you know the roles and responsibilities of the officers elected to serve. How much do citizens know about what leaders ought to do?
All right, so I think this is from Rafael Akori. It says, from Zaria. It says, lack of accountability has corroded political leaders in this country, and to demand for simple morality from our leaders seems like mission impossible. There's still hope in this country because most of our current leaders are 70 years and they will soon die. Are you banking on that? I don't think that will work. But thank you, ladies. Thank you, Uti. Thank you, Elsie God. I think we had a fantastic conversation. This is part 1. Part 2 is coming on Thursday.
This is part 201.
Right? All right, so before we go, do ensure you follow us on Instagram. It's at PlusTvAfrica. You can drop a comment. And we have started our giveaway. So follow us on Instagram to find out what we're giving away. All right, so follow us now. It's at PlusTvAfrica to see all the goodies you can grab. Now, if you missed today's quote, here it is again. We cannot be mere consumers of good governance. We must be participants. We must be co-creators. We'll see you guys tomorrow at 8 p.m. as we bring another great conversation to your screen. Enjoy.